New American Liberty League, listen. I know I don't have the face for videos or the voice for podcasts, or the both of you that are going to see this. I'm sorry. I am D. Hearn, Daniel Leonardo Hernandez. This is my son, Emil Alexander Hernandez, in whom I am well pleased.
4 eyes.
Big topic today. We're going to get into saving the culture again. Last time we went over the threat of the nations. What's a threat to our nation? Today we're going to go over what is a threat directly to our culture. Also in the notebook, in the news, we got what's going on with the big beautiful bill. We got the ceasefire in Iran and the bombing, everything that happened in Iran. Also, we're going to go over some local news that we're involved in. In the capitalist pig section, we're going to talk about a sector that we believe is undervalued. And then in life, we're going to talk about the abundance that God gives. Big topic for the day. What is the biggest threat to our culture? Last time we talked about a threat to our nation, and we tied it all back to welfare. But the biggest threats to our culture as we know it, the beautifulness of European culture, Western civilization, American culture, I believe right now there's two huge threats going on. One, it's what we've done to the nuclear family. The left has purposely got fathers and God out of the home. Then they moved on to getting mothers out of the home in a sneakier way. They convinced mothers that a better fit for them than being home with their children, than being homemakers, than being wives, was to be in the workforce, to be boss bitches, to be all the other things that society has made sound important. So now we have about 30 years of this single mother experiment, and it's a failure. In every stat you could measure, it is a failure. Not just because children need their father. That's obvious. Also in every stat measurable, children with fathers do better. But it's because children need you, women. They need you. They need their mothers. They need their loving mothers to be home. Well, the father works and is a provider, which is our natural role. You make the home. You nurture the home. You nurture the children. I understand some women have to work, and I'm not knocking anyone that has to work. However, women, stop sleeping with deadbeats. And that wouldn't be the case. Look for a provider, a protector, a professor, or somebody that could teach. Look for the right kind of men, and you'll be able to be a traditional woman, wife, biblical, godly mother. It is not the fact that fathers are removed from the family and the home. It is the fact that mothers also are not able to just sit home and be who they're supposed to be. It's also done things in our culture like run up inflation. You can see direct correlations. The more women get into the workforce, the more companies know they could charge two-income households for things. Inflation and prices skyrocket because of such. Women, our children need you. Men need you. Households need you. If you have to work, I get it. But the most important role you have, the most godly role you have, is to be a mother and a wife. And moving away from that is killing our culture. The other biggest threat, I believe, right now in today's world is the left purposely allowing and bringing Islamists into our nation. I'm not talking about peaceful Muslims, and I know there are some. The problem is Islamists and Muslim extremists fight wars for hundreds of years. Send the peaceful ones in, radicalize their children. Let non-peaceful Muslims pretend to be peaceful, till it's time for them to rise up. We had 4 years of unchecked borders. We've already made 1,600 arrests of individuals we believe had ties to terror. Islam has already begun to dominate Europe. They will do the same here. Sharia law and Islamists, like I said, I'm not talking about peaceful Muslims, but even that gets iffy. Sharia law and Islamists do not mix with our culture nor our constitution. They do not mix with our people nor our nation. Look at Europe, what they've given away. We cannot keep up with how they breed, and they know that. This is how they take over countries in a quarter of a century. It's exactly what they do. We better wake up to this fast before we are in an even worse situation than Europe. Sharia law must be outlawed. It doesn't mesh with our Constitution, so it should never be able, we shouldn't have to make laws for these things. It doesn't mesh with our Constitution. We better go ahead and get some laws on the books banning Sharia law immediately. And invitations of Muslim immigrants needs to be as limited as possible. The other threat is us. It's us. It's us becoming complacent, us becoming lazy, us not showing up. The silent majority has been trampled in our nation and our culture. And if we don't step up and start saying hard truths, we become our biggest threat. We become the biggest danger. So even though these things are hard to talk about, women, we need you in our homes. Islamists don't belong in America or in European culture. These are not easy things to say. We better start worrying about what's right and what must be said, or we become our biggest threat. Emil, any thoughts on any of those things?
Yeah, I guess I'll just go through them all individually. So, first with the nuclear family, I think it is the proper family structure to have the man lead. And I think you brought up a very important point, which is as women have got into the workforce, all of a sudden costs have gone up and inflation has basically just matched as if they weren't in the workforce. So I want to ask you, what is in general the way for society to go back to where things are cost efficient for just a man to be working?
Inflation has to go down, obviously. You know, we've talked about this before, getting back on some kind of financial backing, getting the national debt down, keeping energy production up. That energy production, oil production changes the price of everything around us. I think more women staying home so that companies know they're charging a man one worker instead of two incomes. There's so many things we could do to make it affordable for one income again to be enough for a household. There's a plethora of things we could do, and companies, industries, they will adjust their pricing if they see that this is what people want. When they see more and more women staying home, more and more men being the traditional provider, companies and industries will adjust accordingly.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point. And the other thing on the topic of nuclear family is I want to mention, if women are staying at home, it heavily encourages homeschooling.
Absolutely.
Which would get indoctrination that we worry about out of households. All of a sudden kids would grow up more conservative, more religious. They wouldn't question their sexuality by the age of 6.
Yep.
And I think overall for culture, you talk about saving your culture, if we have a generation of homeschooled kids, that would be a huge change.
And we've made it easy for the left. First you get the man out of the home. So there goes your discipline and your main teacher in the home. Then you get women out of the home. And you're left with children that are raised in indoctrination camps at school, and whatever garbage cartoons their media makes and whatever garbage content they put online. The left has been brilliant in that way.
And okay, I guess the next thing was Islamist, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes to Islamist, it's interesting because on one hand there's regular Muslims, and I think I've met regular Muslims, and they actually tend to be fairly conservative and actually vote Republican, I'm pretty sure.
Very conservative people.
Aren't the problem. The problem is these extremists over here in the Middle East, and the ones that Democrats are encouraging to come to America, sneak through our borders. They're the people that did 9/11. And those people we heavily have to worry about. And I think a big problem with them is how quickly they populate. You mentioned this. And I don't know what the answer to that is. I know one of the answers is we simply have to have more children to outpopulate them.
Yep.
But for two, we have to find a way to get these people out of our country. If they're not here legally, if they're chanting death to America, there has to be a way to get them out of here without it being a complete debacle. And, okay, the third thing is us. And actually, I think of all the problems we just listed, this is the biggest one. Because everything falls onto our shoulders. And we sort of just have to admit that it's our fault. It's our fault for letting these things happen. And even if it's not specifically you, yes, it was the generations before us that have messed up. But now it's our job to fix it. And we have to think of that. And the problem is, we're not. We're sitting back and we're just being complacent, not wanting to speak up because we don't want to offend anyone.
Yep. Timid.
We're scared. Well, we're not scared, but some people are scared to go to the synagogues and churches because of all of this stuff happening in the Middle East. But you still have to go. You have to show that there's support for these things. And yeah, just keep supporting conservative and religious values.
Also, Emil, you brought up a good point earlier. You said that you weren't even alive during 9/11, but you feel like you think about it more so than society and people that were alive during 9/11.
Yeah.
On the Islamic situation.
People always say don't forget about 9/11, but in reality, I think most of America has already forgotten about 9/11. We heard an interesting stat today, which was after 9/11, 90% of Republicans felt like they were proud to be American. And 86% of Democrats felt like they were proud to be American. Just 25 years later, the stats have changed drastically. 92% of Republicans feel proud to be an American. Only 36% of Democrats feel proud to be American.
I didn't need a poll for that. Did you need a poll for that?
No.
I know that. I see it. I see it. I see it on social media. I see where I'm out and about. These people will fly any flag other than our own. Our flag and anything American is literally their kryptonite. It weakens them. It turns them into mush. They can't take an American flag. Oh God. They can't take it. They'll fly any other flag besides ours. I didn't need a poll to tell me that.
No. But I think it shows how much the culture has shifted in just 25 years.
Yep.
And even back then, Democrats weren't good in the year 2001.
They're already going extreme, yeah.
That's a 60% decrease. That's insane.
Sponsor this half hour. Listen, we got some help, I'll explain later, from a new radio show in town. Pretty conservative guys. They try to be independent as possible, but it's kind of conservative. The Arrowhead Survival Show on 96.5 Tallahassee, Florida. Saturday, it's only once a week, Saturday, 8 a.m. Good guys, good show. Support them if you're in Tallahassee. If not, iHeartRadio link. You could tune in from anywhere. News, Emil. we put out a little short about Iran. We said, at the time, I wasn't even sure we were going to go in yet. I figured Israel could take care of most of it. But I said, even if we did go in, I wasn't concerned. I know their military is not a threat to us or Israel. I knew for a fact that China and Russia, despite oil deals they have with Iran, they're not sticking their neck out for Iran. So Trump went in, bombed their nuclear facility. Seemed like that was an amazing success. The one thing I will say, and I'm hoping behind the scenes this is still the play, you have the former royal family of Iran that's still been in the picture for years. That could be an easy in, easy transition. I believe with Hamas, Hezbollah still out there, if you do not change this regime, even though they're no longer a nuclear threat for who knows how many years, if you do not change this Ayatollah, we are back in the same situation every 2 years. Thoughts on everything going on in Iran and Israel, Emil?
Yeah, I'll start first about us dropping bombs there. Trump made a different decision than I would have made. I think Israel is taking care of it perfectly fine. And I don't really think America had to get involved in that sense. But I still don't think the decision Trump made was bad necessarily, just different than what I would have done. And the part I don't like is how quickly we came to a ceasefire. We had them on the ropes, and for some reason we didn't just fully go through with it. We already launched bombs at them. If you're already launching bombs, just go fully through with it. It would have taken like 2 more days and the regime could have changed. I think it's so simple.
I don't know why. I maybe politically, on a geopolitical scale, I get it. You want to seem like you're doing everything for peace. Israel and America know anytime terrorists or regimes like the Ayatollah accept a ceasefire or want a ceasefire, it's just so they could regroup, reload. All these people know is fire. They don't want the ceasefire. It's a strategy. So I agree with you 100% on that. Anything else on that?
No, I think that's it.
Big, beautiful bill. Trump's big, beautiful bill passed a week or so ago in the House. It recently was it yesterday? Yesterday or the day before, passed in the Senate. It's now kicked back to the House so they can make whatever the final changes are necessary. I think me and Emil both agree. There's some great things in this bill. Obviously, you had to extend the tax cuts. There's new tax cuts. There's funding for a lot of the things that Trump promised. I like the big, beautiful bill. I hate the spending. Like I said, Trump never promised that he was a fiscal conservative. He's never been a hawk against the budget, so I get it. One thing I hate, Emil, and I'll let you speak more on this. One thing I hate is the division it shows between the Rand Pauls of the world and the Trumps of the world. I really wish they had came up with a better marketing strategy or something to accompany the bill as they were trying to pass it. Any thoughts on the big, beautiful bill, Emil?
Yeah, I agree with pretty much everything you said. I do disagree with you on one point, though, which was that Trump never promised to be fiscally conservative this term. What was the talks about Doge for if he wasn't going to promise to be fiscally conservative?
Yeah.
Talking about cutting waste out of government and having to lower inflation. This bill does not do that.
No.
I think the bill is going to be great for the economy, and hopefully it grows the economy enough to make up for the deficit increase. I think it increases the national debt by something like 20%, which is insane. But I think overall it's good for the country. I want to talk about the way that Trump handled Massey during this situation. I really was not a fan. After the vote in the Senate, he ended up calling out Massey. And I think this was pretty much a call out to the entire Freedom Caucus, but mainly to Massey, saying that whoever the next Republican is that runs against Massey, Trump is going to back that guy and get that monster out of Congress. And he's saying that because Massey's actually a fiscal conservative,
yeah.
Which I think is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Massey and Trump have always sort of bumped heads. At least with Rand Paul, Trump and Rand Paul always end up getting back on the same page eventually, and they
Yeah.
always are friendly towards each other. But I think Trump misses the point, which is the Freedom Caucus is actually the conservative end of the party, and they're who we need more of.
Yeah. There was some good cuts in this that I absolutely loved. Medicaid and SNAP got huge cuts, mostly to able-bodied men, illegal immigrants, and some of the fraud. I don't know exact numbers, but there was actual welfare cuts in this bill, which I loved. Like Emil was saying, we need more Massies. Like if you're a conservative, you could disagree with tactics. Do not be mad at actual conservatives for wanting to cut spending. That's a bad look for us. If we get rid of those deficit hawks and those spending hawks, we're in big trouble. What are we conservative for? We're not even that. We're just Republicans at that point. Even with Trump and Elon, with Trump and Massey and the Freedom Caucus, there was something that could have been said, done, and ran on. Listen, we need to pass this bill. Let us pass this bill for tax breaks, for funding for what people voted for. We promise that our next project are going to be spending cut bills. That's going to be our next focus. And both sides could have agreed on that. Both sides could have marketed that. Both sides could have talked about it this whole time. The big, beautiful bill was getting pushed and passed. And I feel like the GOP missed a beautiful opportunity to give everyone what they needed and make a great marketing push, not only to fellow Republicans and politicians, but to the American people. Look, you're going to hear a lot about this bill being big. You're going to hear a lot about it adding to the deficit. Look at it as two parts. After this bill passes, our next laser focus of bills is going to be about spending cuts. And maybe that'll still happen. Maybe that could still happen. But I think it would have been a good marketing strategy to have this whole time.
I agree. Instead, they ended up doing the opposite in the Senate. When they got to the Senate, they ended up increasing it by another $700 billion.
Maybe the House will save us. The House
seems
like there's still a lot of common sense in the House. Hopefully, like I said, some great things in the bill. Hopefully the House finds some ways to get more spending cuts in there. The other thing in the news recently, Emil, is us. Local news, Tallahassee, at the No Kings, which is the dumbest title I've ever heard, at the No Kings riots, protests, whatever they're called. We go out there, we go to these things, we go to them when they're our side, praying at the Capitol, the pro-life marches, we go. When it's the left being ridiculous, we go. Signs, funny signs, a lot of back and forth political banter, a lot of trash talking, mostly from their side. But we go just because we feel it's important for our side to have a presence at these things. No different with the No Kings. We were there. Everybody was somewhat okay with us. A lot of girls with armpit hairs. And a lot of guys with fingernail polish. These are sick people. But nothing that felt violent. A lot of trash talking. A lot of them, they love to scream. They just scream.
Yeah.
This is absurd. But a lot of that, a lot of laughs, even some good conversations with Democrats we completely disagreed with. So the usual stuff. How I got on the news, there was one guy out there that was filming us. First of all, he came there straight to us, talking crap to us right away. We were ignoring him. He was there was only 5 Trump supporters there. So he was talking to the rest of them. We ignored him. He was filming us then, and the way I know this is because he posted the video. Then he followed us around for another 15, 20 minutes talking junk, talking to people that we interacted with about us, just being really weird. At the end, as we were leaving, I saw him in front of us, and I told Emil, I said, look, Emil, walk around this dude, just get in the grass, whatever. At this point, he was just filming us, talking crap, nothing that really bothered me too much, just annoying, but that's what Democrats do. So we walked around them. We're leaving. We're 100 feet past this guy. Our car's not far. We're 100 feet past this guy. The day's over. And all of a sudden, this dude takes a very aggressive turn. At this point, he has like a group behind him. Everybody's yelling. I don't know if it's people he knew or because he was filming us, not sure. He takes this very aggressive turn with his tone and he starts charging at us. And I know Emil's a grown up. Emil's 18. Emil can handle himself, but you can't turn off dad mode just because your kid turned 18. So I was very calm, but I knew not to keep walking. My son's there. I'm letting this dude close the gap. A man that closes the gap on you has the upper hand because he's already thought about what he's going to do. So this guy's closing the gap on us. So I'm either going to let him have the upper hand that way, or he's going to follow us, and his group is going to follow us to our car. So I knew I had to stop him from advancing and confront him. So I went to confront him, still holding the signs in my right hand. This is my power hand. And if I wanted to mess this dude up, I'd have made sure my right hand was free. Still holding the signs in my right hand, get up to his face. I'm going to let him know, back the fuck up. The day's over. As I get there, I don't know what his intentions were. He jerked the phone up towards my face and my body took over. Just a reaction. I smacked the phone out of his hand, out of my face. It was my left hand, so it's reactionary. It's not like I went there like, hey man, let me slap this dude with my left hand. Like I said, I'm right-handed. This dude runs off. First of all, he full sprints down Monroe Street. I go to leave. FDLE, Florida Department of Law Enforcement, comes to me. They're like, dude, don't let these guys get under your skin. We know they've been messing with you all day. Just get out of here. As he's saying this, I hear the guy in the background who is so tough. I'm pressing charges. He slapped my hand. I'm pressing charges. At that point, FDLE comes back to me and they say, dude, I hate to do this, but I need you to turn around. I end up in cuffs. When I was in cuffs, the dude got aggressive again. Once I was in cuffs, dude came back to talk more crap.
Still on video.
All on video that he posted. He probably actually at the end of the day helped us out with that. Because we downloaded his video, an hour later he took it off. So I spent 2 hours in jail. In my head, this was not a big deal. I slapped the dude's phone. Dude was following us around. He got aggressive to me. I come from an era where if you want a dude's attention for 40 minutes and you finally get it, you just accept whatever happens. You whip his ass, he whips your ass, it's over, whatever. That's not this era. I promise you that much. Anyway, wasn't a big deal. The very next day, the local media, WCTV, ABC, Tallahassee Democrat, have me sounding like I was just out there slapping people for filming us. Then I walked past this peaceful guy that was just filming an event and I got irate and slapped him. That's the way it was portrayed. The very next morning, we lost a almost $30,000 a year contract because of this arrest. And we spent a week or a week and a half in the local news, calmed down for the most part, thank God. But, you know, once in a while I still hear things. The show we talked about earlier, they helped us out. They actually saw the video. They gave us, for the first time, just a fair assessment. They told people how to find the video. Hey, here's this. See it for yourself. You come up with what you want. We offered some of the other local media the video. Absolutely zero interest in it. So it is what it is. The media are who they are. And personally, we wear it like a badge of honor that the media knows who we are and they try to shit us. And when the media is who they are, you wear it like a badge of honor. Wear it like a badge of honor. They shouldn't be on your side. If the media is on your side, I got to question you. So that's the news. Fake sponsor this half hour. Have you ever looked up White Megatron on America's Got Talent? The man who wrote the book about second chances? I'm not going to say his name. Just trust me. If you're in Tallahassee, look up America Has Talent, White Megatron. The man who wrote the book on second chances, yet fires people after 8 years without one word. White Megatron, America's Got Talent. You're welcome for the laughs. Fake sponsor this half hour. Emil Capitalist Pig section. Don't have much to talk about here right now. There is a sector that has been down for the last few years, 4 or 5 years, really down, really beat up. I've been watching them starting to buy back in a little bit. It is anything pharmaceutical, anything medical, especially pharmaceutical companies, especially with the way they're using AI and all these things now. I think it's been beaten down enough. I think the market has made comebacks almost everywhere else. This sector has still been down. Anything medical, any pharmaceutical, do some research, good sector to watch. Do you have any favorites in that sector?
Yes, actually the biggest company in my portfolio is a medical company right now, and it's this small cap called Atossa. They deal with curing breast cancer, and who doesn't like the idea of saving more boobs? And right now they're at 80 cents, but they've been at $8 before, and we were in there when they were at $8. And I think it has a very high likelihood of getting back there again once any big news drops. They do say news isn't supposed to come out for a little while, but there's still a lot of stuff in the pipeline. They don't only work on breast cancer, they also work on a lot of other neural stuff, I believe, and it's all pretty interesting to me.
They are also partnering. I'm not exactly sure what medical technology it is, what medicine it is right now they're working with them on, but they are actually, this small company is actually partnering with Eli Lilly, working on a couple of advancements too. So for a small company, that's huge. The way buyouts work, not saying Atossa will get bought out, but the way buyouts work is if Eli Lilly truly likes what they have patents on and their medical technology and advancements, they will make an offer to buy Atossa for $10 a share. And then at you as a shareholder, that's what you will be able to sell your shares at. Just an interesting sector to watch, interesting company to watch.
I want to bring up one more medical company that I feel like nobody thinks of when they think medical, which is Tesla. Me and you heard about this really interesting thing that Neuralink is doing, which Neuralink is basically just Tesla at this point. Neuralink says that in a year or 2 years, they think the chip implant is going to be able to cure blindness. I'm not sure if that's going to work for every single blind person, but even if it just works for 50% of them, think about how much revenue that's going to generate. And if you're in Tesla stock, that's going to be very good.
That's a good way to tie that into medical. I never thought about that. That's interesting. But anything that's anything like Neuralink or anything that involves neural combined with the coming AI advancements in technology, things are going to get crazy fast. Anyway, good sector to be in, or at least look back into. Life, Emil, I want to talk about, just because there's been a lot of examples of it in our life with our friends the last couple weeks, I want to talk about God's abundance and how He abundantly gives to abundantly godly people. I have a friend of mine named Eric that is he's a youth pastor at a church. The other day I was leaving the gym and I could see this dude's face tearing up, and he came to me. He said, Daniel, he said, man, he said, I don't know what to do. He said, earlier, he said the Sunday before, he said he watched 1,300 youths get baptized. He was personally responsible for, I think he said 60 of them. Yeah. He said he loves working with the youth. It's been a calling of his. He does want to be a pastor, like a pastor of his own church. He said he got a call the very next day after this from a church that's 3 hours away in Georgia about going there and being the head pastor of a church. And he was so conflicted. He said, man, I love where I'm at. I feel like I haven't seen it all the way through. I feel like it's my calling. He said, but how much more could I glorify God if I was the head pastor? And it made me realize that this man is so godly and so good and wants to glorify God so much that he can't make a bad choice. God has given him two abundantly amazing options. It's not like there's a wrong pick. And I told him that. I said, man, whichever one of these you pick is going to be the right move, because God will see to it. He wouldn't have gave you these two amazing options if one of them was going to end bad. Another instance, we've been going to a church with our friends Daniel Stewie and Danielle, Evergreen Church. They're the head pastors. They were in a building, amazing location in Tallahassee, but the rent was so expensive, they thought they were going to have to shut down. They then, after they announced the last day of church, and, they're like, oh, well, we have to do small churches in people's homes, this and that. They then had an opportunity to go to a bigger church with more space, with better facilities, with a full kitchen, very close to where they already were, for $2,000 less per month. And these are great, these are good, godly people. And that's how God moves. That's why a lot of people are asking me about our situation, the legal situation we found ourselves in now because of the No King protest. And the people around me seem to be stressed out more than I am, because I know God gives abundantly. And even in bad situations, God will turn them to good for his glory. So just a few things that happened this week that really made me think about just the abundance God gives to godly people. Mio?
Yeah, I think I'm very glad that the church is reopening just at a new location, because I was really worried that they weren't going to reopen. And that's actually my favorite church in Tallahassee. I want to mention one thing just because I think it's funny that he brought up at the end. I was the one who had to end up telling Shania that he got arrested. And Shania was so much more panicked than he was as he was actually getting handcuffed, which I thought was just hilarious.
Well, the county jail been getting kind of soft. They call me back. They need me once in a while. C Block needs me. All right? I come in there, I toughen everybody up, and then I leave. So what I do? I'll be back in a few years. Listen. Find your local conservatives, conservative businesses, find like-minded people on social media. We have to support each other. Always support conservatives. Find our Facebook page, New American Liberty League, Facebook, Instagram. Do we have an Instagram? No. Facebook, YouTube. We got a YouTube channel. Find conservatives close to you. Find godly people. Find good people. Keep them close. And we are the New American Liberty League.
Saving the Republic, one listener at a time.